Welcome everyone, this is Andres Restart, and in this video we are going to be discussing Pokemon Switch in 2019 and how apparently this is the game we've all been waiting for. You see, Pokemon CEO Ishihara has been saying that this is a game we've all been waiting for. Does he just mean the next jump for Pokemon, or does he mean something more than that? Well, I think the first thing we need to understand is that that core RPG that was referenced at E3 2017 is not Pokemon Let's Go, the game that's coming out this year. Actually, apparently Pokemon Switch 2019 is, well, a game that's coming out in 2019, and that's the core RPG they were talking about back at E3 2017. Let's Go is something else altogether. But that does not mean there aren't things that we can take away from Let's Go that can give us a better idea of what to expect for Pokemon Switch in 2019. So, you see, before all of the rumors or even the reveal for Let's Go, I was talking about what we should expect for Pokemon Switch whenever it was going to come, right? And I said quite a few things. One of the things I said is that Pokemon would be following us around. I also said that Pokemon would be out in the overworld. I even suggested that maybe we would be going back to Kanto since it wasn't quite the time to be doing a new generation, because assuming the game was going to come out in 2018, that would only be 2 years, too soon for a new generation. And sure enough, Pokemon Let's Go is coming out in 2018. It's not a new generation. It's in Kanto. Pokemon follow you around, and there are Pokemon out in the overworld. However, there were other things I said that I was wrong about. Pokemon Let's Go has a grid-like structure. I didn't think there'd be a grid-like structure. I also thought there'd be intense online capabilities and more of an advanced battle system, and neither of those things are the case. Pokemon Let's Go is simplified, it's casualized, it's a casual game. It's, I guess, not really a part of the mainline series, not quite. Now, I may have been wrong about that, but that's because I didn't think it was going to be a casual game. Pokemon Switch, the game that I thought we would be seeing in 2018, is actually going to be coming out in 2019. But again, that doesn't mean the mechanics that we are seeing in Pokemon Let's Go will not be going into Pokemon Switch in 2019. And the mechanics I'm referring to are not the motion controls or the throwing or catching or simplified mechanics. What I'm talking about is the Pokemon following you around and the Pokemon out in the overworld. I think those are things that will be carried over into Pokemon Switch in 2019. And now let me explain why. You see, with Pokemon Sun and Moon, we already saw walking animations in the data, but they weren't actually available to be used in the game. Why do you think that is? In my opinion, I think it's pretty obvious that it's because of the hardware. The 3DS was just too weak for that to run really well. But sure enough, the moment we have a game running on the Nintendo Switch, what do we see? Pokemon out in the overworld, Pokemon that follow you around. But you could make the argument that those are just things meant for the casual game, the casual audience. However, if you check this Q&A from Masuda, he is asked about Pokemon Let's Go, and he explains to us that Pokemon Let's Go is meant to be sort of a bridge title, meant to bring in Pokemon Go players, casual players, newcomers, but also bring in core players and hopefully have them interact with each other. That's why we have the whole Pokemon Go throwing mechanic. It's meant to appeal to those people. But also, he said that the Pokemon following around, Pokemon out in the overworld, those are things that were put in hopes that that would appeal to us, the core gamer, myself, and maybe most of you guys watching as well. So then, considering that those are things put in for the core audience, and that now the hardware is capable of doing it, I think those are things that we should be expecting in Pokemon Switch in 2019. I think they're a part of the natural progression for that series, which is something that the CEO of Pokemon is saying that the 2019 game will be a natural progression for the series. So that also tells me that the grid-like structure that we saw done away with in Generation 7 will also no longer be the case in Generation 8. And the only reason I think it was in Pokemon Let's Go is because it's meant to be a more simplified, casualized thing for a wide audience. But also they wanted to keep to the similar style and environment that we saw for Pokemon Yellow, which was based on the grid-like structure. But for the next Pokemon game, the natural progression is that that will no longer be the case. And I also think that the natural progression for this series is to add a dynamic camera, a camera where you can move around, see everything, so it could function where you actually use the right analog stick. It would be kind of like what you see in Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey or pretty much any other most third-person like action adventure games or RPGs where you can move around the camera. I think that's something that we should expect for Pokemon Switch in 2019. And actually, the CEO of Pokemon, Ishihara, has said, not only that he said there would be a lot of new Pokemon, which implies Generation 8, but also that this game would have better graphics than Pokemon Let's Go, which is really interesting to me. Because one, Pokemon Let's Go already looked a lot better than Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon in my opinion. In fact, you should check out What About Nintendo's graphical comparison so you can see the difference after this one. I'll put the link in the description below. But the difference is huge. So when they're going out and saying that the graphics will be even better than that, that's really exciting to me, and that definitely I feel it strengthens my argument that we will be seeing more of a dynamic camera, and the world may even be a bit more open, even more open than Pokemon Sun and Moon. I think that's a natural progression for the Pokemon games. But I'm not saying that I think the game is going to be open world. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think it's going to be like 4K Breath of the Wild, 60 frames per second. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that the game will be even more open. You will be able to explore more. And there's actually this part of the Q&A with Masuda where he's asked about the next Pokemon game potentially being open world. And he didn't flat out deny it, which is cool to me, but he also didn't say it would be the case either. He talked about how they would have to consider the design of the game and how it may, if they were to make it open world, it could potentially alienate a lot of other Pokemon players, because even though they're making Let's Go, which is meant to be super broad, the mainline Pokemon games is already pretty broad, very mainstream. There are different kinds of players, so they have to balance that out. So to me, what that tells me is that if they do make the game more open, it's going to have to be done in a way where it still is compatible with different kinds of Pokemon players. So I'm not expecting a super hardcore, the most hardcore Pokemon game ever, super open world with MMO elements, everywhere. I think, maybe some of those elements will be a part of the game, but not to that degree. You can kind of gauge that with the Q&A from Masuda. So then, bearing all of these things in mind, I think it makes sense that we will be seeing Pokemon following around. There will be Pokemon in the overworld. There will be no grid-like structure. I think we'll have a dynamic camera. I think we will see the return of wild Pokemon battles because it's not meant to be the casual focus of Let's Go. I also think we'll get back all the online capabilities that were sort of stripped down in Let's Go, as we've heard. And I think this game is going to be a graphical jump. As Ishihara has told us, it's going to be a graphical jump. It's going to be an even bigger jump than Let's Go. And all of those things are really exciting to me. And I'm thinking that this game is going to be really special, because not only is it going to be the next generation for Pokemon, but it's going to be on the most powerful hardware Pokemon has ever been on. It's the biggest hardware jump ever, so I also think that this is going to be the biggest jump for Pokemon ever. So when Ishihara says that this is the game we've all been waiting for, I think he means that this is the game we've all been waiting for, not just the next generation, but the real home console / portable game that's like the epitome of what we all want. It's going to be the closest thing we've ever gotten to that fantasy. I'm not saying it's going to be an MMORPG open world with 4K graphics, but it's definitely going to be the biggest jump we've ever seen for a Pokemon game. Those are my thoughts on the matter, though. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's going to be a big jump like I'm saying? Or do you think it's going to be more moderate? Or maybe not a jump at all? I'm really curious. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, if you've gone this far, make sure to like and subscribe. This is Andres Restart. Also hit that notification bell. And I'll see you all really soon. Bye.